All right, buckle up, everyone, because we are diving headfirst into a world where love and danger, well, they kind of get a little too close for comfort.
Intriguing.
We're doing a deep dive today on Deep's Fractured Desires Trilogy.
Oh, this is going to be good.
You guys sent in excerpts from Cosa Nostra, Apex, and Fallen, plus some really interesting author notes from Deep herself. And so we're going to try to untangle this web of stories, see what connects them, what makes them tick, the whole deal.
See if this trilogy is something truly, truly special.
Exactly.
Yeah. What really jumps out at me about this trilogy is how it goes into the darker side of love, where desire, bumps up against morality.
Yeah.
These characters always pushing the limits.
It's definitely not your typical boy meets girl, happily ever after kind of romance.
Right.
It's more like love on a tightrope.
Love on the edge.
Yeah, that's good. I like that. Love on the edge. And the overarching theme, like the thing that ties all three excerpts together, is this dangerous, forbidden love.
Yeah.
With characters who are willing to kind of blur the lines between, right and wrong. And I think what's really cool is how Deep takes that theme and explores it differently in each book.
Exactly. Each story gives us a different lens to look at this really complex idea. Like Cosa Nostra.
Okay, yeah.
You got a powerful Dawn, this woman named Iris, and a baby caught in the crossfire.
Oh, man.
Classic setup. But it gets more complex because of the power dynamics.
Yeah, that excerpt from Cosa Nostra was so intense. I felt like I was right there in that world of secrets and danger.
It grabs you right away.
The Dawn's voice in that excerpt.
Yeah, tell me about that.
Oh, it was so striking. He's obviously used to, being in charge, getting his way.
Now we're fit.
But there's also this hint of tenderness, like a soft spot, when he talks about Iris and the baby. What do you think is going on there, like beneath the surface?
Oh, there are definitely layers there to peel back.
Right.
The excerpt gives us these hints of revenge, family legacy, maybe even a forced relationship. And then that line about stealing from a Dawn.
Ooh, yeah.
It's chilling.
Yeah, chills.
It's like we're entering a world where the rules are different.
Totally different rules.
Where loyalty and vengeance, they come first.
They trump everything.
Everything. I can't wait to see how it all plays out in the full story.
Me too. So many questions.
So many. Like, who are these people threatening Iris?
Yeah, who are they?
What's the Dawn willing to do to keep her safe?
Oh, is he going to, go all out?
And what about the baby? What's the baby's role in all of this?
Right.
He feels like a cliffhanger already. And speaking of cliffhangers.
Oh, yeah, let's talk Apex. This one takes us into the world of biker gangs and, a whirlwind romance.
Oh, yeah. Area Price, successful actress. She runs into Kai, who's a member of the Chaos Saints motorcycle club.
Chaos Saints, very cool name.
Oh, very cool, yeah. And their dynamic, it's fascinating. Arya's looking for safety, protection from an abusive ex, Max.
Yeah.
While Kai, he's struggling with his attraction to her.
Right.
But also, the clubs need to go legit to be, on the right side of the law.
What I noticed right away was the difference between Arya's world and Kai's. She's from this glamorous, high-profile world, while he's from a world of grit and, violence.
That contrast, that difference, it makes for a really captivating story. And I think Deep uses those different worlds to really dig into those themes of power and control.
Definitely. I mean, Arya is drawn to Kai at first because she needs his protection, but there's also this undeniable spark between them.
Right.
And those fantasies that Arya has.
Oh my gosh, yeah. About him and his motorcycle.
Yes. Deep does not shy away from the sensuality.
No, she doesn't.
Yeah.
But those fantasies, they're more than just physical. I think they show Arya's desire to get away from her past, to find a freedom, a power that she's been missing.
Oh, I love that interpretation.
It gives a whole other meaning to those scenes.
Yeah.
And then there's the scene where Kai confronts Max.
Oh, yeah.
It shows that Kai is willing to do whatever it takes.
Whatever it takes.
To protect Arya, even if it means violence.
Even violence.
That scene, it really highlights how complicated the morality is in this world.
Yeah.
Kai is trying to leave the club's criminal past behind.
Yeah.
But his instincts, they pull him back in. It's like he's trapped.
Yeah, trapped between two worlds.
Between two worlds.
Yeah.
And Arya, she's caught right in the middle.
She is.
She's attracted to Kai's strength, how he protects her, but she's also scared of the violence.
Yeah.
That always seems to be around him. It's a dangerous dance.
Oh, yeah. A dangerous dance. And speaking of dangerous,
Oh.
that ending.
Oh, my God, that ending. when Kai shoots Max.
Talk about a turning point. It made me realize this trilogy isn't afraid to go there.
No.
To the dark places.
No.
What do you think, what impact will that act of violence have on their relationship?
That's the question, isn't it? Kai crossed a line. No going back. I'm really curious to see how that affects his journey towards, becoming legit. And, of course, his relationship with Arya.
All right, so now hold on tight, because Fallen, it throws a supernatural curveball our way.
Oh, yeah.
We meet Aurora.
Aurora?
She's a waitress.
A waitress haunted by visions.
Haunted by visions, and Malik.
A mysterious figure with, a dark secret.
Oh, yeah, and what a secret.
A big one.
Turns out, Malik is a demon.
A demon.
And he's supposed to claim Aurora's soul.
Oh, that's rough. But he falls for her instead.
Talk about a twist. Forbidden love times 1,000, right? And then we find out Aurora, she's not just any woman. She's a dormant goddess.
Whoa.
Which makes her soul even more, valuable.
Like a prize.
Suddenly, everything is amped up. We've got mortals and the supernatural clashing, and our characters are right in the middle. What really stood out to you in this excerpt?
Oh, so many things.
Yeah.
Aurora's nightmares, they're so vivid, so disturbing, like they're hinting at something awful coming her way. And how she's drawn to Malik, even though she knows he's dangerous. It's like she can't resist his darkness.
It's magnetic.
It is. That push and pull between fear and desire. That's what makes Fallen so captivating.
It's like she's drawn to the very thing that could destroy her.
And Malik.
Yeah.
That internal conflict. He's a demon, literally battling his feelings.
It's like the ultimate tug of war. Duty versus desire, but with a supernatural twist.
And it's not just Malik. Aurora's conflicted, too. She's scared of Malik, obviously.
Yeah.
But she's also drawn to his power, that sense of mystery he has. Repelled and fascinated at the same time.
Yeah, it's like a moth to a flame. Before we move on, did you notice those other supernatural beings mentioned in Fallen? Helios, Aceso, Alvadan?
Oh, yeah, and jotted those down.
I'm wondering, what roles are they going to play in the bigger picture?
Definitely something to keep an eye on. They tell us that this story is part of something much bigger. A whole supernatural world. And a world full of secrets and danger.
Okay, here's something that's been bugging me.
Okay, lay it on me.
I'm starting to see some connections between these three books, like more than just thematic connections.
Oh, interesting. Tell me more.
Well, first off, Jezadip's author notes, they mention that these stories are part of a larger Fractured Desires series, right? So I started thinking, could Iris from Cosa Nostra be related to Arya Price from Apex?
Oh, that's an interesting thing.
Maybe a family connection. And then we've got those recurring themes that run through all three excerpts. Dangerous love, revenge, protecting loved ones.
Yeah.
It's like Jezadip is looking at different sides of the same coin.
It's different facets, different angles.
Exactly.
Very interesting.
I also noticed something else, something that appears in all three stories.
Oh, what's that?
Captivity.
Captivity. Interesting.
In Cosa Nostra, Iris is a captive of the Dawn's world.
Yeah, I see that.
Danger everywhere, very little control over her own life. And in Apex, Arya is a captive to her fear of Max.
Right.
That fear, it makes her dependent on Kai, even though she's attracted to him for other reasons. And then in Fallen, Aurora is captive to Malik's demonic power.
Right.
She's fascinated by him, but she knows he's dangerous.
It's like she's both drawn to him and terrified of him all at the same time.
Exactly.
So it seems like Jezadip is using these different forms of captivity to show us the complicated dance of desire and power in these relationships. Subtle, but really powerful connection.
It really makes you think about freedom, and choice in these relationships. Are these women really making their own choices, or are they being controlled, even manipulated, without realizing it?
Those are the questions that Jezadip seems to be wrestling with.
Yeah.
And that's what makes these stories so thought-provoking. They're not just fun to read. They challenge us to look at our own beliefs about love, power, freedom.
They make you think, for sure. Wow, we've covered so much ground already, and we've only just scratched the surface of these excerpts. I can't wait to dive into the symbolism, the hidden meanings, and more about Jezadip herself in part 2 of our deep dive.
Yes, there's so much more to uncover. I'm ready for part 2. Before we go any deeper into this world of fractured desires, I think it's worth taking a moment to think about the symbolism Jezadip uses.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I mean, it's subtle, but it adds this whole other layer to these stories.
Okay, I'm all ears. What kind of symbolism jumped out at you?
Well, let's start with those motorcycles in Apex. They're not just, like, vehicles.
Right, they're more than that.
Exactly. They represent freedom, power or rebellion.
That makes so much sense, especially for Kai. His bike, it's like a part of him, you know?
Yeah.
Symbol of his masculinity and that whole outsider vibe.
Yes, exactly. And for Arya, the motorcycle, it's a break from her old life. It's her chance to, like, escape everything and embrace something new, exciting.
It's like she's shedding that old skin, transforming.
Yes. Becoming someone bolder, someone who takes risks.
I love that. Okay, what about Fallen? What about all that supernatural stuff? Is that symbolic too?
Absolutely. Think about Aurora's visions. They're not just random, are they?
Yeah, I was thinking about those. They're so vivid and disturbing.
They are. I think they represent her untapped potential.
Okay, yeah.
Her connection to something bigger than herself, wouldn't you say?
I was wondering about that. Do you think they're just symbolic, or could they mean something more? Like maybe they hint at a bigger role she's going to play in this supernatural world.
That's a great question. I think it could be both, actually. On one hand, those visions, they show her awakening, her realizing she's a goddess.
Right.
But they could also be foreshadowing, hinting at the future, the challenges, the victories that are waiting for her.
Oh, I like that. And Malik, what about his, demonic side? Purely symbolic, or is there more to it?
I think Jezza Deep is using Malik's demon side to explore, like, the two sides of human nature.
Oh, okay, yeah.
He's that darkness inside all of us, the urges, the desires we try to hide.
So it's not just that he's literally a demon. It's more about the internal struggles we all have between what we want and what we know is right.
Yes, exactly. And the fact that he falls in love with Aurora, that shows that even the darkest hearts, they can be changed by love.
It's like she's a light in his darkness, reminding him that he's human.
It makes you wonder, is Aurora's love just romantic? Or does she sense that good in him, that potential? And that's what she's drawn to.
Oh, that's interesting. It's like she's not falling for the bad boy, but for the good man he could become.
Exactly. Remember how we were talking about the connections between the three stories?
Yeah.
One that really stands out is that theme of captivity.
Oh, yeah, right.
In each story, the woman, she's held captive in some way by the man. In Costa Nostra, Iris, she's basically a captive of the Dawn's world, surrounded by danger, constantly reminded that she owes him everything.
It's almost like she's indebted to him.
Exactly. And Arya in Apex, while not physically captive, she's captive to her fear of Max.
Right.
It makes her depend on Kai, even though she's attracted to him for other reasons. And then in Fallen, Aurora is captive to Malik's, demonic power.
Yeah, she can't escape it.
She can't. And she's both drawn to it and terrified of it, all at the same time.
So it seems like Jezadip is exploring all these different types of captivity within relationships. And it makes us look at the power dynamics between men and women.
Really subtle but powerful.
It really makes you think about freedom, about choice, Are these women really free? Or are they being controlled even if they don't see it?
These are questions that Jezza Deep seems to be asking in this trilogy.
And it's what makes them so thought-provoking. They're not just entertaining. They make you think about your own beliefs about love, power, freedom.
They do. Speaking of Jezza Deep, let's take a little detour and talk about the author herself. What can we learn about her from these excerpts and her notes?
Okay, yeah, let's do that.
Well, we know she's an indie writer.
Uh-huh.
Which tells me she's not afraid to do things her own way. Tell the stories she wants to tell, even if they're not, like, mainstream.
She's marching to the beat of her own drum.
Exactly. And she's a poet and an anime critic, which suggests a creative mind, someone who loves different forms of expression.
It's like she's not afraid to experiment with genres, styles. I love that. It shows a fearlessness, a willingness to push boundaries.
Exactly, and I think you see that fearlessness in her writing. She's not afraid to explore the dark stuff, the taboo subjects. She's not afraid to create characters who are flawed, who are complex.
Yeah, no cookie-cutter characters here.
No, not at all. I also get the sense that she's really into mythology.
Oh, yeah, that's definitely there in Fallen. Gods, demons, good versus evil.
And her author notes mention that she has this flair for storytelling that seamlessly blends mysticism, romance, mythology, and fairy tales.
So she's creating her own mythology, a world where anything is possible.
Exactly. And it's familiar, but also unique. It uses those classic elements, but twists them in unexpected ways.
It's like she's taking those classic stories we know and giving them this modern, edgy feel.
Exactly.
Okay, before we wrap up this part of our deep dive, I want to circle back to that idea of forbidden love.
Yeah, that's a big one.
It's a theme that runs through the whole trilogy. What does it mean to you, personally?
For me, forbidden love, it reminds us that Desire doesn't always follow the rules. It can be messy, unpredictable,
Even dangerous?
yeah, even dangerous. It's about the thrill of the unknown, the excitement of pushing those boundaries and knowing there might be consequences.
That's what makes it so compelling, right? That sense of danger, that feeling that you're breaking the rules. It's exciting and terrifying all at the same time.
Exactly. And Deep's stories, they capture both sides of that, the allure and the danger. They make us ask ourselves, why are we drawn to what's off limits? And what are we willing to risk for it?
And the way she uses forbidden love to explore power and control. In each story, there's that imbalance between the man and the woman.
And that creates a dynamic that's so interesting but also unsettling. It makes you wonder, who's really in control? Who's being manipulated? Are these women really choosing freely, or are they being forced?
It's like she's holding up a mirror to those power dynamics that exist everywhere, in relationships and society.
And it makes you think about the consequences, right?
Yeah.
Will these relationships lead to freedom? Or more captivity, more heartbreak?
Why do you think people are so drawn to stories about forbidden love?
I think it speaks to something primal in us. We're hardwired to be attracted to what's off limits, to the unknown, the dangerous. It's part of being human, that curiosity to push boundaries, to
Yeah.
test limits.
And it's an escape, right, from the everyday, the ordinary. It lets us explore those taboo desires and fantasies safely in our imaginations, like a safe thrill.
And these stories, they make us confront those uncomfortable truths about ourselves, the things we might not want to admit. They make us question our own desires, our own limits.
So these stories about forbidden love, they're really stories about us, about human nature.
Exactly. They're about the good and bad that's inside all of us, the fight between what we want and what we know is right, and the choices we make when we're tempted.
Okay, so we've talked about the symbolism, the hidden meanings, a bit about Jezadip herself, but there's still one big question.
Yeah, the big one.
What does it all mean? What is Jezadip trying to say with this trilogy?
Ah, yes. The ultimate question. What message is she sending? I think that's up to each reader to decide.
Yeah.
But for me, these stories remind us that love, in all its forms, is powerful. And often, it's unpredictable.
It can be a source of joy, of pain. It can lift us up or tear us down. It can set us free or trap us.
Exactly. And Deep, she doesn't shy away from any of that. She embraces the darkness. She doesn't try to sugarcoat things.
Yeah, that's clear in each story.
The characters, they risk everything for love, even if it means going against society, breaking the law, even facing supernatural powers.
It's like she's saying that love, it can't be contained, controlled. It's this wild thing that'll go its own way.
And that way isn't always easy, straightforward. There are twists and turns,
Your
obstacles.
journey.
But it's the journey that matters, not the destination.
That's beautiful. It's a journey that shapes us, that teaches us about ourselves, about the world.
I agree. Okay, let's get back to the trilogy as a whole. We've talked about each excerpt separately, but how do you see the three stories working together?
Yeah, good question.
It seems like each book in the Fractured Desires trilogy explores a different side of forbidden love, right?
Yeah, different angles. In Cosa Nostra, we see it play out in the world of organized crime, family legacy.
Yeah.
The Don's love for Iris, it's tangled up with his need to protect his family's power, their reputation.
Right. Apex takes us to the biker gangs, shows us a relationship that starts as a deal but grows into something more. Arya is drawn to Kai's strengths, how he protects her.
But their relationship is messy.
It is. It's complicated by the violence that's always around him. And then Fallen throws in the supernatural element, a demon and a goddess falling for each other.
And their love, it's forbidden on a whole other level.
Cosmic level, even.
But they can't resist each other.
It seems like with each book, Deep is adding to this idea of forbidden love, making it more complex, more intriguing.
She's not just telling the same story over and over. She's pushing us to think about love, desire, the boundaries we create.
She is. And she doesn't shy away from pushing those boundaries in romance either. These stories are dark, gritty,
And sensual.
very sensual. They challenge what we think about love, relationships. They don't give us easy answers or happy endings. They leave us with questions, which I think is good.
Oh, I agree. It's those questions that stay with you that make you keep thinking.
But the question is, how do these different stories connect to tell one big story?
That's what I want to know.
We thought maybe Iris and Arya are related, but what about Aurora? How does she fit in?
Yeah, where does she belong?
It's a mystery we'll have to solve as we go deeper into this trilogy. Maybe there's a connection we haven't even thought of yet.
You know, I'm starting to think this trilogy is more than just love stories. It's like there's this bigger mythology happening, a hidden story.
You might be right. There's a sense of destiny, of fate, hanging over everything. It's like the characters are all connected somehow, even if they don't know it. And their choices, they're shaping not just their own lives, but the fate of the world.
Okay, I'm officially hooked. I need to read this whole trilogy.
Me too. So many unanswered questions. What will happen to Iris and her baby? Will Kai and Arya make it work? And Aurora and Malik? Will their love be enough to overcome, well, everything?
And what about those connections between the books? Are Iris and Arya related? And how does Aurora fit into all of this?
It's like we're standing at the edge of a dark, mysterious forest just waiting to explore it.
I know. Well, I think it's time to move on to the final part of our deep dive,
Okay, I'm ready.
where we'll really get into these characters, what drives them, the choices they make, and maybe, just maybe, we'll start to unravel some of these mysteries. One thing that's been on my mind is how Jezza makes these characters, they're flawed, they're not perfect,
Yeah.
but you still feel for them, you know? They're not those typical romance novel heroes and
I
heroines.
feel real.
They're real.
Yeah, they're complicated, conflicted.
They make bad decisions.
Oh, they do.
Like the Don in Cosa Nostra.
Yeah.
He's ruthless, he wants control.
Yeah.
But there are those moments where you see, like, a softer side.
Yeah, vulnerability.
He wants to protect his family, even if it means doing terrible things.
That's like he's trapped by what's expected of him, you know?
By his role as the Don.
Yeah, the Dawn. Do you think he really loves Iris? Or is she just part of his power play?
It's a good question, right? Can someone like him even love? Or is it all ambition control?
I think Jezza leaves that for us to decide, which is what makes him so interesting.
And then there's Kai in Apex. He's a biker. But he's also so loyal, so protective of Arya.
Yeah, he's a tough guy with a soft spot.
Yeah. It's like he wants something better, but he's stuck.
He's in between worlds.
Mm.
He wants to leave the crime, the violence behind.
But it's in his blood, you know?
And then his feelings for Arya, that just throws another wrench in the works. He's drawn to her, but he's scared of what his world might do to her.
That struggle within him, that's what makes him so compelling.
He's more than just the bad boy stereotype.
What about when he shoots Max, though? That felt extreme, even if it was to protect Arya.
Yeah, it definitely makes you question him, his choices.
It crosses a line.
It does. It has consequences, not just for him, but for Arya too.
Speaking of Arya and Iris and Aurora,
The women,
yeah, they're not just damsels in distress waiting to be rescued, you know?
no, they're strong.
They're strong. They make their own choices.
They're not just accessories to the men's stories. They have their own desires, their own goals.
Iris in Cosa Nostra, she's a tough spot, real danger, not much control.
But she's not giving up.
No, she's not. She's smart. She wants to protect herself, her baby.
Even in just that small excerpt, you can see that fight in her.
She's a survivor.
Yeah, she is.
And Arya, she's running from an abusive ex.
Vulnerable, but brave.
She asks for help, she fights back.
And she's not naive about Kai. She knows the risks, but she sees good in him.
And Aurora,
Oh, Aurora. She's more than meets the eye.
a goddess.
A goddess. Even with all that scary supernatural stuff, she doesn't lose hope.
She's got this potential for power.
That hasn't fully come out yet. She's finding herself. And Malik, well, he's part of that, but he could also hold her back.
It's like she's attracted to his darkness because it reflects something inside her.
Something she needs to face.
It's interesting, all these women are drawn to men who represent danger, but also, like, a lifeline.
They want protection, but they also want more. Adventure, a deep connection, a consuming love.
Yeah, and that leads them into uncharted territory, into situations that test them, make them face their fears, their desires.
Okay, big picture time. We've got these 3 separate stories, but there are connections, themes that keep coming back. What do you think is Jezza building something bigger here?
Oh, I definitely think so.
From these excerpts, it seems like this trilogy is more than just romance. There's something else going on, some hidden mythology,
It's like there are clues, hints of a bigger story happening.
connecting these characters in ways we don't even understand yet.
Maybe Iris and Arya are related, but what about Aurora?
How does she fit into this? We don't know yet.
It's like we're seeing pieces of a puzzle, but we don't have the whole picture.
Jezza she's good at weaving these stories together, creating a world that pulls you in,
It's alluring, but dangerous.
keeps you guessing, keeps you wanting more.
I can't wait to see how it all ends.
Me neither. So many questions. What will happen to Iris and the baby? Will Kai and Arya find a way to be together?
Will Aurora and Malik's love be enough?
Enough to conquer
And
everything?
the connections. Are Iris and Arya family? Where does Aurora fit in?
It's like we're on the edge of a cliff, looking out at this vast unknown.
I need to read these books.
I know, right? This trilogy is a wild ride.
Ugh.
It's dark, it's sexy, and it makes you think.
And you guys, if you're looking for a story that will challenge you, excite you, and leave you wanting more, I highly recommend checking out Jezza Deep's Fractured Desires Trilogy. It's a journey into the heart of forbidden love, where desire and danger collide. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive, and until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and let your desires guide you.